round 8 at the Monster Mile. Dover, Delaware hosts this concrete round of TNT action as we have a front row with a two-time champion on the pole. Tom Sears from Southampton, Massachusetts will lead the field to green, and he will have control of the beginning of round number 10 from the Monster Mile. I'm Rick James. You're watching TNT from Dover. Tom Sears leads the field. He is in position number 1 in the 1-4 car. Aiden Norman behind him slots into second. Last week's winner, Toby Estes, in the number 8 Budweiser Chevrolet, sits in third. Dustin Painter behind him in fourth. Look at Aiden Norman already sliding that tail out of position. Coming into this race, Aiden with a little bit of catch-up to do, despite him being at the top of the points tree. He has a 24-point gap back to Tom Sears, who's leading this race. Toby Estes on the high side, just in front of Dustin Painter. Tom Sears went purple 23.48 seconds. And I didn't want to say anything by ruining the start there, but the answer to the question we're all wondering, who wrecked at the start of this race? It's Jeff No in the double 5, the TJ's team Ford. Let's go back and look at the green flag. Seth Wanting behind him in the number 9. And it's Wanting who gets right into the double 5 of Jeff No. Let's go back and take another look. Have a listen with Jeff. Just looks like he missed a shift and he gets just pummeled by Seth Wanting. Let's ride on board with Seth. So the native of Yadkinville, North Carolina, now has to pick it back up. Commando Griff expressing what a lot of North Carolinians are feeling. Dang. The two-time TNT champion starting to break away with this one just a bit. He's got a 1 second gap to Aiden Norman, who's now opened up the bottom line for Toby Estes. How about one of these Bluegrass Bandits who looks like he's picked up where he left off with Season 4. Toby winning last week, sitting in third, and Dustin Painter may have also got a little bit of groove in his step. Painter now wants to join these two, and he wants to play for second. Sears in front, Estes in that second spot. Aiden Norman rolling in third with Dustin Painter behind him. Briley Wright rounding out the top 5. And how about the Season 4 champion sitting in 6th? 4 Thursday Night Thunder championships between them. 2 for Sears, 1 for Norman, 1 for Andrews. How many champions have we had? 4 champions in 5 seasons, March Mauto being the Season 2 and the final Xbox champion. Look at Kevin Feemster hanging the tail out. You're going to see that all race long. Drivers just hanging the tail out of the race car, just getting a bit extracurricular with their activity outside of turn number 4. Let's see if we can get another good angle on Kevin Feemster. See if he hangs the tail out again. Not for him, but we're going to see it all night long. You're going to see this driver here really hang the tail out. Aiden Norman loves to put that right side out into the air. You can already see he's picked up some damage on the right side of his Logitech Dodge. And Dustin Painter now wants a piece of the 6'2", who wiggles out of turn number 4. Painter now smells blood in the water. He's on the attack. Briley Wright, another one of those Bluegrass Bandits, sitting in that 5th position. The native of Greensburg, Kentucky. 0.3 of a second behind Dustin Painter. 6'2", 0029, running 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Further on back, Tristan Catania battling with JK3. That's Jimmy Kerr the 3rd, for those that know. This is the battle for the 11th spot. Cody Riggs, the 3rd of the 3 Bluegrass Bandits in this race tonight, riding that number 3 Good Wrench Service Chevrolet. In lucky number 13th, Rockwall's Donald Ray rolling in 18th position. Look at Patrick Allen getting into the wall in that 4-5 Monster Camaro. Allen has destroyed the right side of his car. And the Colorado driver, by way of New Jersey, is rolling in 15th. Sears continues to lead Toby Estes in that 2nd spot. Let's see what the gap has been over the last 5 laps. Dustin Painter sends it in low on Toby Estes, who opens up that bottom lane. Aiden Norman moves into 2nd, and he's really just hanging that out. What a tail whip by Aiden Norman. Check out this awesome battle for 3rd. Toby Estes up in 3rd. Dustin Painter riding behind him. Here comes Briley Wright. He wants a piece of this action. Through that 1st and 2nd corner, the 2-9 goes up the inside line. Two-1 still to the inside of Toby Estes, who gives us a blink out of turn number 4. Thomas Andrews with a tail whip out of 4. Drivers are going to have to maintain these tires. The Drip, Diecast, and Collectibles Race Facts telling you drivers will be able to go between 40 and 50 estimated laps on one run. Not always concrete. Dover got a facelift in the mid-90s. They went from asphalt to concrete, and I think, I could be wrong, but I think they moved the back stretch to the front stretch, and naturally vice versa. Painter about to lose that bronze medal spot. Briley Wright goes to the inside. 2 Bluegrass Bandits nose to tail in their Chevy Monte Carlos to the inside of the North Carolinian. And now Painter sandwiched between those Kentucky pilots into turn number 1. Right now in 3rd, 1.5 seconds behind Aiden Norman. Look at Aiden Norman hanging the tail out again. Let's have a look at the gap over the last 5 laps. Norman slowly catching up to Tom Sears. You see on lap 21, he almost got 0.3 closer to the Massachusetts pilot. 3 TNT championships running 1st and 2nd. 23 laps underway from iRacing's Dover, Delaware. And if you've just, as Aiden Norman slaps the wall hard out of turn number 2, and I suppose that's what we were all waiting for, the Dobson North Carolinian and the defending Thursday Night Thunder champion in a big spot of trouble now. Watch those lap times tumble. Ruined. Just ruined the 6-2 as Doug Norris chimes in. Says, watch that 29 go. Briley Wright is now going to go in a hurry towards Aiden Norman. 1 second is the gap between them, and that last time around, Briley gaining almost 2/10 on Aiden Norman. Look at the last 3 laps, gaining at least 1/10 every single time. Let's see what happens this time. Briley Wright almost 1/10 quick, but Dustin Painter that last time 2/10 quicker than Briley Wright as he tries to navigate his way around Yadkinville, North Carolina's Jeff No. 2.9 to the inside of the double 5. 00 comes back behind that twin 5. 29 out of the inside line right up to the wall on turn number 4. Briley Wright clears Jeff No. He's got a mirror full of Dustin Painter and another one of those Kentucky pilots. Bluegrass Bandit number 8, Toby Estes, last week's winner from Rockingham in that number 8 Budweiser Chevrolet, gets right under the shadow of Dustin Painter's rear spoiler as they leave Jeff No in the Dover distance. 28 laps into this race. Tom Sears, Aiden Norman, Briley Wright separated by almost 3 seconds. It's a bit closer in the fight for 7th. Season 4 champion behind native Dover driver Ryan Pennell. Ryan now to the inside of Jeff No, who finds himself a lap off the pace in 15th. Thomas Andrews behind him. Ryan gets really loose out of turn number 1. Let's run that one back. Believe this is going to be Ryan getting to the inside of Jeff No. Now have a look here. Pennell gave it a big shake out of turn number 2. Oh, I don't know if he got loose. I don't know if they made contact, but a good save nonetheless. Painter now trying to defend his 4th position from Toby Estes. 3 Bluegrass Bandits in this picture, but Cody Riggs running 19th out of 19 cars in this race. Shout out to everybody at Smokey's Bar watching Cody Riggs. Shout out to everybody everywhere watching Cody Riggs. If you're watching this race, thank you so much for tuning in. You're watching round number 10 from iRacing's Dover, Delaware. Cody in 19th, hoping for a caution. He just might be the caution if he continues to play with the wall like that. Cody Riggs into the wall again. Seth Wansing comes to the inside of Toby Estes, and the Kansas City native with some scrapes on the right-hand side tries to cut off the 8 car out of turn number 4. He will do so successfully. Seth Wansing moves into 5th. Wansing finally sees daylight to the inside of Dustin Painter, side by side as they drag race into turn number 3. Who's going to get the better of this exchange? Reaper in the chat says, good to be back watching. Good to have you, man. Thank you so much for tuning in. 36 laps into this 180-lap event. Dustin Painter just holding on to that top 5, barely. Seth Wansing starting to peel away from him, and Toby Estes politely drafting behind Cody Riggs in the number 3, although not for position, and that 3 has had some heavy damage. And more damage on the outside of turn number 4. That 3 car goes right up alongside that turn 4 wall, and that could just be it for Cody Riggs. He's got one fast repair remaining, I think, if he hasn't already used it down pit road. Cody did come down on lap 25. He may have used that fast repair. He may not. But given the state of that race car, as Richie Catania will now get right up to the wall, and he will stay on that wall while the field peels around the number 24 DuPont Chevrolet. And shout out Richie for not coming back onto the racetrack like he could have. Lets the field go by. Central Florida's Richie Catania avoiding a catastrophe. We stay caution-free in these first 40 laps. Estes on the outside of Andrews, the Season 4 champion, trying to get under last week's winner as Patrick Allen slowly makes his way back on to the racing surface. It's a tough track, that's for sure. The concrete not allowing for a lot of grip. Drivers having to focus on every single move. You got to watch those hands when you're driving. Let's go on board with Toby Estes in car number 8. Simmer not. That is some difficult stuff. Unbelievable how Toby Estes just manages to keep his hands moving in a straight line. Although he's been tumbling down the running order, he has still kept his car more or less pristine through the first 42 laps of racing, and maybe, just maybe, that's the strategy. No strategy between these two, just get around the other guy. Donald Ray holding off Jeff No for 15th. No in 16th. Donald Ray in that 15th position in the number 5 Pepsi Chevrolet. Reaper in the chat saying he'd tell Honeybrink to get going, but he's probably pretty hot right now. I imagine it can't be fun sitting in 18th position out of 19 cars. John Honeybrink right now just holding on to his own in the number 20 Interstate Batteries Chevrolet. The Season 4 Talladega winner will come around Tristan Catania as Catania's on his way in on lap 45, possibly the start of scheduled green flag pit stops. The Drip Diecast and Collectibles Race Facts reminding you 40 to 50 laps is where these drivers will go. Briley Wright to the inside of Tom Sears, and the 14 is leader no longer Wright with a clinical pass for the lead, and that right there makes Briley Wright your new leader at Dover. Just got up under him outside turn number 2. 2-9 with a textbook pass. When's the last time, if ever, we had 2 drivers from the state of Kentucky win back-to-back in Thursday Night Thunder? Imagine if Briley Wright gets the win. 2-9 in first, 1-4 in second. Cat Pinnell says that boy Briley means business tonight. Cody Pinnell He won the last Thursday Night Thunder race here as Tom Sears comes down pit road. Doug Norris says the 29 is hot. Got some good wrench flames on that Chevy Monte Carlo, the 2.9 out of turn number 2. Last time around, 25.30 seconds. Looks like he tried to dive down pit road. He's doing so now. Here comes Briley Wright. He'll cross the line at 50 miles an hour. Seth Wansing will accelerate past 150 miles an hour to lead lap 48. And the KC Masterpiece is now your new leader at Dover. Dover, Delaware's Ryan Pennell in that second position with the defending Thursday Night Thunder champion Aiden Norman in third. Seth Wansing will go on to lead the lap. Ryan Pennell, second place, under siege from the North Carolinian. Thomas Andrews watching from a distant fourth. Withers is in. He has to screech the tires in that U.S. Army Toyota, but the Virginian will bring his race car to 50 miles an hour. A snail's pace. Wansing is in. He gets it down with no smoke and no drama. The Midwest Barbecue Monte Carlo will come down for 4 tires and fuel, so that makes Ryan Pennell your new leader in the Hooters 1-2. Norman to the inside, and now we've got to see if Pennell's going to try and lead. Well, I think he might have led that last one. I might get an insurance lap here. We'll see. Possibly gambling on a caution. Pennell will indeed lead lap number 50. Aiden Norman still in second. Thomas Andrews in third. All of the top 5 have yet to pit, including this man here. One Elrich George from Nassau in the Bahamas, now being overtaken by Briley Wright. Last time around, George put 27 seconds as a time on the clock. Briley Wright this time around, 24.33. Briley, is that 2.5 seconds quicker than Elrich George. Last time around, race leader Ryan Pennell, 25.68. A full 1 1/3 seconds slower than Wright. Aiden Norman wants to get into the lead before he has to come down pit road. Norman possibly messes up the trajectory, bouncing off of that dark asphalt. He sticks to the inside, cuts off Pennell. Aiden Norman leads lap 52. Aiden Norman now trying to put Ricardo Catania another lap down. Richie currently running in the 17th position. Pennell half a second behind Norman. The top 5 still yet to pit, including Donald Ray, possibly gambling on a caution at this stage in the race. Last time around, Tom Sears, 24 seconds. Last time for Donald Ray, 25.59. Ray continues to stay out. Aiden Norman peeling away from Ryan Pennell. Tom Sears and Toby Estes getting in position to do some overtakes. These guys better hope the caution comes out quick, because it's going to be a mess for them if they do not. But we're going to see what happens for sure. Definitely excited to see how this one's going to unfold. Norman stays out. Pennell about to be overtaken by Withers, the Delaware pilot, trying to stay off the wall in that Hooters Ford Taurus, trying to get right behind Aiden Norman, who bangs his 62 Logitech Dodge against the wall. Norman with another hard slam on the wall. Ryan Pennell mimics him. Aiden Norman continues to slap that wall. I don't know if he's just angry at this racetrack. Aiden, if you want to talk, buddy, just, don't take it out on the safer barrier. That's not nice. The Logitech Dodge now dives down pit road, and mercifully, as they go 3 wide through turn number 4, Aiden Norman mercifully comes down pit road. Tom Sears moves into the 5th position. Ryan Pennell continues to lead the race at Dover. It's been a wild green flag cycle of stops. Norman continues to just slowly crawl down pit lane. Look at the messed up scratches he's got on that 6-2. Down to the paint. Norman gingerly coming down into the pits, getting those tires, getting everything he's going to need. Ryan Pennell also in the pits, as is Season 4 champion Thomas Andrews. Bahamian Elrich George scraping the wall on the outside of turn number 3. He'll be overtaken by Toby Estes, who will now reassume the lead with a 0.6 of a second gap to Briley Wright, and it's a Kentucky dogfight at the front of this race. 2 of the 3 Bluegrass Bandits separated by 0.6 of a second. It's Chevy, Toyota, your top 3. Dustin Painter from the great state of North Carolina tries to keep his race car from spinning out in the corner. How about Jimmy Kerr III having to get out of the way of the leaders? We'll see if he extends the same courtesy to Dustin Painter. A big gap into these in this pit cycle. Ryan Pennell coming out of the pits in 9th, 1 lap off the pace, but he did pit 14 laps after Toby Estes, who now has Briley right behind him. So these two are going to fight it out for first place. Let's ride along with Briley. To the inside, Briley Wright in the 2.9, new leader at Dover. Toby now trying to get back on him, and in his best Michael Scott voice, Briley Wright asking Toby, why are you the way that you are? Kevin Feemster now coming up behind Tristan Catania. This is the move for 10th. Haven't seen a lot out of Feem in this race so far. Tristan Catania seeing a lot of him in the top 10, which isn't typical for his driving style. We'll see if he can hold off Feemster in the 1. Jimmy Kerr III slightly up ahead in that 9th position. Feemster to the inside. They'll go 3 wide again. This time, Cody Riggs on the outside, who will just kiss the wall outside turn number 2. Feemster will clear Catania and make his way into the top 10. And he's going to scrape the wall and just give the spot right back to Tristan Catania. Jeff No sits just ahead of Aiden Norman. Jeff No has not pitted 66 laps on this set of tires. Jeff finds himself in 7th on the lead lap. He is the last car. No, I'm sorry. He just went a lap down. I can't tell time. Wait for the ticker to confirm it, just in case I'm wrong. Yeah, okay, Jeff No. Aiden Norman's in 6th. Jeff No, there he is. Now he comes down pit road. No idea what I'm talking about. Aiden Norman was sitting in 6th. I had no idea what was going on there for a minute. Anyway, not the point. Jeff No's in the pits. The Bluegrass Bandits are still leading this race. Briley Wright giving a lap back to Donald Ray. Dustin Painter and Toby Estes side by side. The North Carolinian gets his Napa Camry into the silver medal spot. 29.008, your top 3. JK3 giving up the spot to Kevin Feemster almost. Kevin Feemster trying to hold on in the number 1 Impala. He's got a mirror full of the 7.5. Thomas Andrews now coming up behind JK3. The Season 4 champion will take his MGD Impala up into 9th. Kevin Feemster now chasing down Ryan Pennell. He's 5.5 seconds behind the Delaware native. The Hooters Ford comfortably in 7th, almost 5 seconds behind Aiden Norman, who's trying to chase down Tommy Withers. Lots of different tire strategies here. If the math tells us anything, Briley Wright and Dustin Painter will have to come in on lap 96, while if Thomas Andrews can go another 59 laps, he won't have to pit until lap 108. Maybe one less set of tires, we'll see. Jeff No just went green, 23.89 seconds for one of many North Carolinians in this race. He sets a personal best in the 14th position, while Kevin Feemster and Thomas Andrews will swap spots once again. Andrews to the inside of Feem. This is for 8th. The spot now goes to Andrews. Toby Estes gives away. Thomas Andrews gets past the 3rd place driver. Seth Wansing starts to occupy the space behind Toby. Aiden Norman and Tommy Withers separated by 0.4 and 9 laps of wear on their tires. Norman trying to get into the top 5 and overtake the Virginia pilot Withers. To the left. Aiden Norman gets to the left of Tommy Withers, and U.S. Army Camry will just give the 5th spot away. Tom Sears in the distance, sitting in the 13th position. He was dominant in this race. Alas, the 5-second pit time tells you a speeding penalty is what took down Sears. He went from racing in the top 3 to now sitting well outside the top 10. He's in 13th, 1 lap, actually more than a lap down. He's like 2 or 3 laps down. That's insane. Yeah, there's Tom Sears, 2 laps off the pace. Man, that speeding penalty just kills you. Donald Ray a full lap ahead of Tom Sears in the 12th position. That move is not for position. That was, however, Jeff No gets to the inside of the Massachusetts pilot. These are the swag design points coming into this race. Aiden Norman leading Tom Sears by 24 points. And so far, Norman having a far better run. He's in the top 5. Tom Sears sits outside of the top 10. Norman looking for his 2nd consecutive TNT championship. He would be the first pilot to do so. But we still have more than 5.5 races to go in this season. Let me tell you, anything is possible, seeing now that Toby Estes and Briley Wright are on their game. Estes, top side, Wansing to his inside. This is the battle for 3rd. A little Chevy on Chevy action on lap 80. Wansing clears Toby Estes. He's in 3rd. There's another Bluegrass Bandit up the inside. Cody Riggs, who will see his fellow Greensburg native on the outside. And you got to give it up to Toby. He has avoided slapping that wall all race long. And when it comes down to it, keeping your car just off the wall here might be the difference in a top 5 and a top 10. Last time around, Toby put up 25.68. Aiden Norman, 24.56. 1.1 seconds quicker. They have 13 laps difference in tire wear. Ryan Pennell is in. Is he short pitting? Tom Sears also in. Did they pick up some damage? Did something happen to either of these guys? Wright continues to lead. He's got a 2-second advantage onto Dustin Painter. After all these seasons, the North Carolinian in the 00 Camry still winless. However, this has been his most consistent season thus far. Back to those swag design points, you see Dustin Painter is 5th in the standings. He's only 2 points behind Thomas Andrews, who finds himself running 7th at the moment. So Painter is just silently working his way up through these points. Only 49 markers behind Aiden Norman with more than 5 races remaining in the season. Painter is still in contention for a championship, let alone never having won a TNT race yet. At the rate he's been improving, expect that yet to be very, very soon. Fans at home, Jim Blankenship handcrafts the championship trophy for Thursday Night Thunder. Him and everybody else at Swag Designs making handcrafted trophies for any event, personal, commercial, whatever it is. Check out Swag Designs on Twitter. That's at swag_designs. We're going to put that in the chat here so you can check them out on Twitter. I believe there might be an Etsy store as well. I'm not sure. I've got to ask Jim. At the front, Briley Wright continues to lead this race. He's got a gap of 2.9 seconds back to Seth Wansing. We'll see just how that one goes for him. There it is, finally. I'm sitting here trying to copy this for the longest time. At Swag Designs on Twitter. Check out Jim Blankenship's store there on Twitter. See what he can do for you. .8 seconds the gap. Drivers starting to find their groove. Dustin Painter now making way for Kevin Feemster, who's in the 8th position. 1 lap off of Painter's pace. Down to just 7 drivers on the lead lap. Tommy Withers about to make it 6 as Briley Wright looks to overtake the U.S. Army Toyota. Six drivers remain. There is the 6th, Thomas Andrews, your Season 4 champion, up 6 places from where he started. Donald Ray to the inside of Tristan Catania. The Texan moves to the left-hand side of the New Jersey pilot in the Lowe's Chevrolet, and he puts his Pepsi Monte Carlo into the top 10. Ray starting in 2nd. Not a strong start for him, but back inside the top 10, 10 laps before halfway. Right in the lead, 2.3 seconds steady on the Kansas City pilot, Seth Wansing. Seth, your Iowa winner. Sitting in 2nd, he last pitted on lap 50. We'll see just how far he decides to take the tires this time around. Aiden Norman coming up behind Toby Estes. 13 laps of wear on their tires, and Toby's just not going to fight it. Last week's winner at Rockingham, kind of playing the pacifist role tonight. He'll just just watch Jeff Noe get around him as well. Cody Riggs is in the number 3 Goodwrench Chevrolet coming for tires and fuel. He's in 15th. Aiden Norman already 1 second out ahead of Toby Estes. Norman has been giving it everything on this stint of tires, but how long can the car endure the abuse that he's been giving it? You can see he had to use his one and only fast repair after he slapped the wall a number of times in that first green flag stint. We'll see just how far it goes this time. Tristan Catania decides it's now his turn for more tires and fuel. Drivers get a maximum of 3 tire changes in tonight's race. Drip Diecast and Collectibles proudly bringing us tonight's race facts. If you see a paint scheme here that you like, or if you just think, man, I miss those retro paint schemes from the 90s, get yourself a diecast. Check out Drip Diecast and Collectibles on Facebook as the leaders now come in. Briley Wright, Seth Wansing, and Dustin Painter. Check out Drip Diecast and Collectibles, Facebook's #1 page for NASCAR diecasts and memorabilia. Drip Diecasts and Collectibles on Facebook. New leader in the 6-2, Aiden Norman. Last pitted on lap 58. Quick math will tell you he's due to come in on lap 116. Thomas Andrews moves into second. He's to the inside of Cody Riggs. There's Tommy Withers now back up to third. Kevin Feemster sitting in fourth. Jimmy Kerr and Donald Ray, the last 2 drivers to pit before lap 60 or later. Painter and Wansing nose to tail, 8th and 9th respectively, exiting pit road, putting their foot through the floorboard. Let's ride along and watch the hands as these cars try to get up to speed on cold tires. Painter confidently moves to the inside as we approach 80 laps to go. The 00 is in 8th. The 9 car is in 7th. Tommy Withers has decided enough is enough. I'm coming too. And this time, drivers need to be careful not to speed. That's what happened to Tom Sears. He finds himself in 18th out of this race. Same goes for Ryan Pinnell. The 6-2 of Norman leading Thomas Andrews. 13 seconds the difference, and Estes goes green. 23.48 seconds. Incredible job. Norman still in the lead. Thomas Andrews in second, while Kevin Feemster now takes over the 3rd position. Riley Wright in 4th. Jimmy Kerr in that 5th spot there. Seth Wansing now quickly catching up to Kerr. Wansing last pitting on lap 96. JK3 last pitting on lap 45. Seth Wansing makes it no work at all. He's up to the 5th spot. So that leaves Jimmy Kerr in 6th, and all of the top 3 that have yet to pit: Aiden Norman, Thomas Andrews, Kevin Feemster. Well, never mind. Feemster is on his way into the pits. Thomas Andrews in second, being overtaken by Tommy Withers. How long will he make it last this time? Aiden Norman, 25.1 seconds last time around. .66 seconds. His best lap so far, 25:32 last time around. For some of these drivers that pitted, the lap time's now reflecting. Briley Wright, 23.93, 1.5 seconds quicker than Aiden Norman on fresh tires, but just how long will it last? Right up the inside in the that's Donald Ray up the inside of the number 5. Tommy Withers just went green. He sets a personal best, 23.69 seconds. Seth Wansing, 0.8 away from Dustin Painter, while Donald Ray gets up right behind Elridge George, the Bahamian, with a destroyed right side of that Haviland Dodge. Allows Donald Ray to get to the inside. Ray in 11th. 6 seconds behind Kevin Feemster. Kerr is in, and he's almost crashed it on the way into the pits, the reflective 75. He's going to spend some extra time fixing that race car. Aiden Norman, 13 seconds ahead of Thomas Andrews, with 70 laps to go next time by. There's Briley Wright, who last pitted on lap 96. Surely, Briley's going to have to pit once more. Aiden Norman and Thomas Andrews both went 58 and 59 laps respectively. And now with 70 laps to go, you can imagine they'll probably try to stretch this stint on this set of tires and maybe try to go the distance on on 2 pit stops as opposed to 3. Don't know what the thought process is, but I'm excited to see how it turns out. Briley Wright in 3rd just unlaps himself. Drivers again finding their groove, settling into the ride, not trying to be too aggressive on these tires as Richie Catania now makes his way around Jeff No. Feemster goes green, 23.70 seconds for Kevin. Withers in the 6, has Jeff No behind him. And Withers just plows around Jeff No, who has not pitted. 33 laps of where the difference. Last time around, Tommy Withers puts up 24.36 on the board. Jeff No, 25.88. And now it's all a waiting game. Philip the Cat wants to make a comment. Phil. Philip, a big fan of Thursday Night Thunder. Cheering on Aiden Norman from the top spot. Thomas Andrews in that 2nd position. 13 seconds, a full half lap or more, if you will, behind Aiden Norman. And Phil, watching Thomas Andrews trying to chase down Norman, do you think he's just on tire conservation? Knowing, Philip, that tires are going to be important here, who do you think's got the moves to win this race? You heard him. The Cat said what he said. Aiden Norman still leading Andrews by 12 seconds. Briley Wright in 3rd and quickly closing in on Andrews over the last 5 laps. That 2.9. Look at that. Last time around, 1 second quicker than Thomas Andrews, but Seth Wansing also in that same bracket. Both these drivers, 1.5 seconds separated, Briley Wright and Seth Wansing. This time around on lap 116, Briley Wright, 0.9 of a second faster. Those tires make the difference. Let's see what happened to Jimmy Kerr. Oh, just loose out of turn number 4. And he does make a heavy impact on the inside wall. Luckily, nobody else getting caught up onto that 75 car. Wright starting to hunt down Andrews, but Briley has got to know he's got one more pit stop waiting for him, where Aiden Norman and Thomas Andrews are now 60 laps from the finish. If they were to pit now, they would not have to pit again. Norman, the race leader, on his way in, and this is the make or break moment. If he speeds, gets it down to 40 miles an hour there. Thomas Andrews at 140 into turn 3 will stay out, but will he lead? He will indeed. Thomas Andrews leads the lap, gets a bonus point, and he is your new leader at the Dover Motor Speedway. Donald Ray gets to the inside to get another lap. Thomas Andrews, your new race leader, while Briley Wright starts to reel him in. Will Andrews just come in this time? He will indeed, right behind Elridge George, trying to avoid making contact with the Bahamian, and he gets it down to second gear and at 40 miles an hour. Hairy moment for Thomas Andrews. Watch this again. Has to get on the binders, trying not to crash into Elridge George. Andrews in the 5th position, making what will be his final pit stop, as does Aiden Norman. But of course, if they're going to go the distance, they're going to need to make sure they take care of their tires, where everyone else in the top 5, including Briley Wright, including Seth Wansing, Dustin Painter, Toby Estes, they have one more pit stop to make. So it's going to be a game of, are my tires faster than yours? And at what point will Briley have to pit so that he can effectively make up the time that Aiden Norman will gain by not pitting? There's a lot of math involved, a lot of stuff I'm not going to do, but we're going to watch it unfold over the next 55 laps of action. That's all that remains from the Dover Motor Speedway. Aiden Norman went green last time around, 23.65 seconds. There he is to the inside of Tommy Withers for the 5th position. Thomas Andrews also pitted. He's now getting around Donald Ray for the 9th position. Last time around, Donald Ray 25.1. This time, Thomas Andrews 24.1, a full second quicker than the Texan. And he's quickly reeling in Jeff No. John Honeybrink right in the way of Thomas Andrews. Normally those two great drafting partners. That time Andrews wanted nothing to do. He moves into 8th. Kevin Feemster up ahead in 7th, while Briley Wright leads the way by 1.5 markers over Seth Wansing. Jeff No getting his pit stops, making his final run. He's in the 11th spot, so No will be trying to score a top 10 while everybody else comes down pit road. There is Seth Wanting, while Aiden Norman sits in that 5th spot on tires that are far more fresh than Briley Wright. Aiden has to protect that rubber all the way to the end of the race, but it looks like he's going at a really hard pace, trying to unlap himself from Briley Wright, and he will do so into turn number 1. Aiden to the left-hand side of Honeybrink in that 2-0. And now leaving Briley Wright in his Dover dust. Further on back, Jimmy Kerr and Jeff No trying to swap spots. No to the inside of Kerr. And that's going to put Jeff into the 11th spot. Jimmy Kerr backed to the very end of the first Dirty Dozen at Dover. James Kerr III sits in 12th. No, calmly waiting behind Thomas Andrews. These two not racing for position. Actually, No decides that now will be the right time to get to his inside. Seth Wanting slowly reeling in that big 2.9 Goodwrench fish at the front of this race. The last 3 laps, Seth quicker than Briley. We're inside the final 50. Does he go hard? Does he save his tires? It's anybody's game. Fans at home, appreciate you tuning in. Whether you came in at the start, whether you came in right now, or you're going to stay with us to the finish. Pop it in the chat. Let us know who you're cheering for. Let us know who your favorite driver is. And let us know who you want to see in victory lane in this 10th round of competition. Next week, the circus continues from another 1-mile oval, but an incredibly different racetrack. A flat track. The Milwaukee Mile hosts TNT Round 11. That's going to be next Thursday, 8:40 p.m. Eastern, right here on Rick James TV. And then the week after that, Darlington. Prepare yourself. That's going to be sensational. Seth Wanting now within 1 second to Briley Wright, while Kevin Feemster works to get around Thomas Andrews. Andrews works ways around Orlando's Richie Catania. Thomas Andrews in 7th. Tommy Withers, the race's hardest charger thus far. He's gained 7 places from where he started. He last pitted on lap 99, so he and the top 4 pilots will need to come down for tires and fuel. Aiden Norman, Thomas Andrews, Jeff No will not. We'll see if it pays off. If you're Briley Wright, do you stretch these tires as far as they can go? They were able to go 48 laps before they came in. 48 laps from the last time Briley pitted is going to be lap 144, I think, as Tristan Catania decides to reach out and try and fight Miles the Monster. He goes for another shot. And guess what? He didn't win either time. Painter is in. Dustin Painter possibly trying to shake up the end of this race with a little bit of short pitting. 41 laps to go as the North Carolinian comes down pit road. Briley Wright leads Seth Wanting by 7/10 now. The two-time A-squared champion within half a second to the race leader, Thomas Andrews, coming up behind Thomas Withers. This is the battle for 5th. Briley Wright decides he's going to come in. Seth Wansing will come behind him. They're going to pit with just under 40 laps to go. Hopefully none of these guys sped on the way into pit lane. At this point, speeding into pit lane is pretty much just, it is the end of your race. It very well could be. Aiden Norman becomes the new leader on lap 142. Reminder, Aiden will be stretching his tires 60 laps. Toby Estes in the second position, pitted on lap 96. Is he going to stretch his tires all the way to the end? Thomas Andrews in third, Kevin Feemster in fifth. Feemster is not going to go to the end. He pitted on lap 104. There's no way he's making it. Briley Wright short pitting, and now he's going to have to chase down Aiden Norman. Briley is one lap off the pace. And there's going to be, 37 laps to go by the time Briley gets up to speed. So with Briley being, it's a 23-second lap. So with Briley being more than 23 seconds behind, he's really going to have to get on it. He's going to have to just cane it and go as hard as he can to chase down Aiden Norman. Toby Estes decides he's in as well. He won't be stretching it as far as 60 laps. But now for the next 40 laps, it's going to be very hard driving. They're going to have to chase down this man here, defending Thursday Night Thunder champion and current points leader. Fans, once again, Jim Blankenship graciously designing the trophies for this 6th season of Thursday Night Thunder. Jim and everybody at Swag Designs coming through clutch for us this season. They'll come through for you as well. Check them out on Twitter at swag_designs. Let Jim make a trophy for you. It's worth it. Those are handcrafted wooden trophies, by the way. Maybe I should have said that. They're not just little plastic 3D prints. No, these are handcrafted wooden trophies that are going to go to the Thursday Night Thunder champion. Can't wait to see how they turn out. Aiden Norman leading Thomas Andrews. Seth Wansing goes green. He pitted on lap 141, 23.62 seconds, his personal best of the race. Briley Wright went green, 23.53. Last time around, Aiden Norman, 24.89. Briley, almost or more. Well, it doesn't matter. Toby Estes just went purple. I'm trying to do math on this timesheet, and Toby Estes, fastest lap of the race, 23.42 seconds for Toby. Incredible lap. Last time around, 2 seconds quicker than Donald Ray. .418 to be exact. Fastest lap. Elridge George and Tristan Catania are going to battle. This is for a spot in 12th. Catania has it. George wants it. 30 laps to go from the Monster Mile. So far, Aiden Norman leading the parade, but his tires are now starting to wear. He last pitted on lap 119. Thomas Andrews 121. Briley Wright 141. Wright in third. There's Wright. There's Norman. He's got some work to do. And Briley, last time around, 24.02. Aiden, 25.10. At the rate that Briley Wright is driving, he will just catch Aiden Norman, but he's got to consistently stay 1 second faster. The gap between Briley Wright and Aiden Norman is 26 seconds. This time by will have 27 laps to go, and Briley consistently 1 second faster than Aiden. This is going to be a race against the clock, each other, and their tires to win round 10. The defending champion now watching Briley Wright go around him, and the chase is on. Right on the lead lap, and you can bet Doug Norris is happy in the chat. The Good Wrench Chevy pulls away from the Logitech Dodge. Aiden Norman. No mistakes now from car 6-2. You remember 20, 30 years ago when drivers would drive under those pedestrian bridges at Dover and the feed would cut out, you know, it just get some static. Kind of interested to know like what they did to eliminate that. You wouldn't think it'd be such a big problem, but you saw it a lot in open wheel races. But we can talk about nostalgia later. There's a race right now, and there's just 25 laps remaining. This time around, Briley, 1.1 seconds quicker. The clock says 24.09. Aiden Norman, 25.16. The gap, 21 seconds, and it's 24 laps to go. Honeybrink in the 2-0. Last time around, 24.19. Aiden Norman, is he in possible conservation mode just so he can give the tires a little more work when Wright catches? Everyone's made all their pit stops. Unless a caution comes out, we shouldn't see drivers come down pit road. This has been a caution-free race. No yellows from start up until now. Knock on wood. Aiden Norman in the 6-2 ahead of Thomas Andrews by 16 seconds. Andrews pitting on lap 121. Briley Wright 3.6 seconds behind the Season 4 champion, and Seth Watson catching up to the 2-9. If Seth plays it smart, he will not attempt to pass Briley. He just needs to stay with Briley. He does not need to pass him. If he can just stay glued to the back end of the 2-9, his tires will wear less. Half a second between them, and the gap, 18.2. Briley Wright buying himself a little bit of insurance time. Again, Briley has to catch Aiden to the tune of 1 second a lap. There you see the gap on the left-hand side. 17.8 seconds between them. 19 laps to go now for Aiden Norman and Briley Wright. They're on the right track, but will that track lead to victory lane? Richie Catania up ahead. He's running in 15th. Cody Riggs, the third of those Bluegrass Bandits, he's spent the majority of this race outside of the top 10, as Kevin Feemster might have just done his race. Scraping up along the left side wall there. Not a good run for Feemster. What happened here? Well, a great run up until this point. Let's see what happened to the one. Leaving pit road, possibly just got too excited. Oh, that's exactly what happened. Just on the apron there, and he's lucky he didn't get into the 75. Imagine the first caution coming out because of a driver coming out of pit road. But Feem's in 10th. He'll get back up on the horse. Thomas Andrews and Briley Wright about to swap positions. The 2-9 to the inside of car number 2. And Briley Wright will come away with second. Round number 10 in its final laps now. We're inside the final 20 circuits. Aiden Norman leading by 16 laps, 16 seconds, and it's 16 laps to go. Briley starting to fall behind. Aiden possibly just squeezing the throttle a little bit harder, trying to get more out of that race car. It is a race against time for Briley Wright, but if he can beat time, then he has to beat the defending champion, Aiden Norman. Seth Wansing all over the back end of that 2-9 car. This is not what Briley wants to see. Seth really pushing the tires on his race car as well. 15 to go, and the drivers outside of 15 seconds to the leader. This is what Norman needs to seal the victory. Wansing to the inside. Now Wansing has to go like crazy if he wants to catch the 6-2. 15.6 seconds between them. Did Norman hit the wall? He's got heavy damage on the outside of the 62 car. Dodge, Chevy, your top three. Lucky number 13 laps to go. There's the race leader, letting Dustin Painter and Jimmy Kerr around him. 14.5 seconds the gap, 12 laps to go. The math says it will not be enough, and Norman will hang on. Seth Wansing in second, 4/10 ahead of Briley Wright. Wansing possibly trying to secure second, knowing Norman is an eternity away, and maybe the magic is just gone on Briley Wright's tires, leading a majority of laps today. He's in third as Seth Wansing peels out in second. Half a second between second and third. Aiden Norman, 13.5 seconds clear of Seth Wansing, and all the 6-2 has to do is gently drive this car into victory lane. 9 more laps for Aiden Norman. His points lead looks to extend even greater, headed into Milwaukee. 3 wins this season, a 24-point gap coming into round number 10. Norman with one eye on the trophy, but he cannot lose focus. He still has another 8 laps to go. 13 seconds the gap from Wansing to Norman. Norman has made so much contact with the outside wall in turn 4. He's got to be careful to stay off it again. Painter just up ahead. Jeff No, Donald Ray, they're not done. The double 5 gets a bit squirrely. And you would imagine that a caution here would effectively put Aiden Norman in check. However, if he's got one more set of tires, there's only 5 cars on the lead lap. A yellow is not all doom and gloom for Aiden Norman, but it sure does make the job harder. No in the double 5. Elridge George behind him, but running in 12th. Donald Ray ahead by 0.8 of a second. Thomas Andrews not on the same lap as Ray. Andrews running in 4th. Cody Riggs, Richie Catania separated by a lot, but they're still fighting hard. Riggs is in the wall. He's got competition beneath him. Donald Ray. Thomas Andrews getting close. Richie Catania gets inside of that 3, possibly the crossover for the Good Wrench Chevy. Jeff No coming up behind Cody Riggs, who just kisses the wall again, tries to stay off it. They drag race into 3. Jeff No in the double 5 clears Cody Riggs. Thomas Andrews is in the wall. 12 seconds now the gap as Richie Catania will go high and allow Cody Riggs to go to the inside. Aiden Norman with 3 1/2 laps remaining behind his fellow North Carolinian Dustin Painter in the 5th position. Jimmy Kerr 1 second behind Elrich George over the last 5 laps. These two fighting hard. This is a battle for a 12th place finish. Kerr 1.2 seconds quicker than Elrich George. Kerr now coming up behind Cody Riggs. 2 to go this time by. Kerr to the inside. Riggs will make way, and Elrich George sees his mirror just get a bit darker now. Kerr all over the back end of George. He wants that 12th spot. He wants those points at Dover. Kerr looking to make a move. He'll have to keep it off the wall. Aiden Norman collects the white flag, and it's 1 mile to go. The 6-2 using strategy to pit 1 time fewer than his rivals. He pitted on lap 119 and will stretch these tires 60 laps to the end. Win number 4 and the conquering of Dover goes to Aiden Norman, who gets into Dustin Painter at the end. I'm sure that was not intentional. Everybody, I think, just checking up, trying to stay out of the way. But Norman comes home with that victory. See if we can get a hold of this man. Aiden Norman, Rick James up top. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Win number 4 of the season. Your points lead will extend. You have dominated Dover, and you got one over Miles the Monster.
Yeah, that was tricky, but I mean, what Dover race isn't, you know, just a lot of attrition out there. You know, Tom Sears obviously having that DNF, which is really unfortunate, but I just had a different strategy than everyone else, and it seemed to work out, although I'm running out of fuel as I'm doing my burnout, so.
We'll see you in victory lane, Aiden. Congratulations on winning the race.
All right, thank you, Rick.
So drivers will come down pit road. That's going to put a conclusion on the racing action. But fans, don't go anywhere. We're going to have top 3 in the booth in just a moment. On the podium now with our top 3, starting with our bronze medalist tonight, 1/3 of the Bluegrass Bandits, getting the bronze medal, the number 29, Briley Wright. Briley, great race today, man. You dominated for a lot of the race. It just seemed like fuel strategy might have gotten the better of you.
Yeah, that, and I messed up at the beginning of the race. I should have went a little bit longer than I did on that first pit stop, and Seth was gaining on me, and he was catching me, but I knew I could kind of keep him at bay. Like I would kind of start saving tires, let him get a little close. Whenever he got to about 1 second, I'd kind of stretch it back out. I knew I could have stayed in front of him, and then on that very last run after we took tires and fuel for the last time, I got into some lap traffic. Had to run the bottom and do everything I could to try to get around lap traffic, and it just ate my right front off of it, and I couldn't stay in front of Seth.
You still managed to come home with a third place finish. That puts you up to 8th in points, only 13 markers behind Ryan Pennell. We'll see you in a week's time at the Milwaukee Mile.
Alrighty, hopefully it'll be a W and not a podium again.
We'll see, hopefully, man. Our second place finish, Kansas City's Seth Wansing with a silver medal tonight, Seth. You're tied for 5th in points. What more did you need to get to the 62?
Smarts, I guess. Congrats to Aiden. Good strategy. Congrats to Briley. He had probably one of, if not the best car all night long. So, first, want to apologize to Jeff No on the start when everybody checked. I just couldn't lay off of it. So that's 100% my fault. But had a really fast number 9 213 Simware Midwest Barbecue Chevy, and in my opinion, probably had the best long run car. And I should have used that to my strength. I was running probably one of the only ones that was running the Harvick bottom all the way through the corner throughout the whole run, or at least I was trying to. That was the goal. And I was saving more right front than I thought I was on the first run, and I pitted way too early. I thought about going long, and then I started to hear guys blow tires, and I pit to try to keep distance, and just got to start trusting myself better, I guess. But um, you know, feel like could have came out with a win there, and second sucks, getting kind of old, but you know, we'll shrug on to the Milwaukee Mile and see what we can do there.
We'll see you in a week's time. Congratulations, Seth. Our race winner in the number 6-2, Aiden Norman. You're headed next week to the Milwaukee Mile with a 46-point lead on Tom Sears. As we just heard you talking with your rivals over here, fuel is what dictated the win for you tonight.
Yeah. I'm not sure why I thought of it differently, to be honest. I kind of figured everyone would be following the same strategy because the fuel run was about 60 laps. You maybe had to save a lap during that time, but that's really not much around track as short as Dover. So I just split it into 2 stops. I mean, went to lap 60, went to lap 120, made it all the way to lap 180 for the win. And I think what everyone else was doing was splitting it more on tire strategy, trying to get as much speed as they could out of the car. So they were going 45, 90, 135. That's not the right. No, that is the right. Either way, that doesn't matter. Basically, I was not the fastest car. I had no right to win that, but strategy worked out for me for once, unlike, Chicagoland this season. So I'm happy with it.
We'll see you in a week's time from the Milwaukee Mile. Maybe you even taught your rivals a thing or two, and we'll see how that strategy works for you next time. Congratulations on the win, Aiden.
All right. Thank you, Rick.
Fans at home, that's it for the 10th chapter of TNT Season 6. And if you don't know by now, where have you been? In a week's time, we're going to the Milwaukee Mile. Flat, fast, incredibly slippery with these high horsepower race cars. We'll see you in 7 nights' time right here on Rick James TV. And until that next race, everybody, please stay safe. Do take care of each other, and we will see you all